Imagine a forest, ancient and vast, shrouded in an eternal impenetrable night. No gentle whispers of wind, no rustle of hidden creatures, only an absolute, profound stillness. Every inhabitant moves with silent, calculated intent, for in this wilderness, to make a sound is to invite disaster. Now project this image across the boundless canvas of the cosmos. For generations, humanity has gazed at the stars, not with fear, but with a naive, boundless optimism, yearning for a cosmic handshake. We have launched our radio signals and sent our greetings, broadcasting our fragile existence outward like an open invitation. Yet, the universe has offered nothing but this pervasive, unsettling quiet. What if this silence is not an empty void, but a strategic universal pact of non-aggression, born from a far more terrifying understanding of interstellar diplomacy? The sheer, almost unthinkable scale of the cosmos demands that life, and indeed intelligence, should be teeming. Billions of galaxies, trillions of stars, untold numbers of worlds. By all logic, the night sky should hum with the chatter of countless civilizations. Instead, we are met with the profound enigma known as the Fermi paradox. Its most chilling proposed solution, the dark forest hypothesis, a theory that suggests in an unforgiving universe, any civilization that reveals itself is not merely discovered, but condemned. Today, we will descend into the depths of this chilling cosmic worldview, exploring the cold, ruthless logic that underpins the dark forest, the terrifying methods of interstellar culling it implies. If this journey through the universe's most unsettling paradox moves you, please consider subscribing to Terran for more deep dives into the mysteries that shape our understanding of existence. Prepare yourselves, we begin. The night sky, a breathtaking tapestry of starlight, has always been humanity's grandest mirror. For millennia, we have looked up, not just to navigate or predict seasons, but to wonder, are we truly alone? This ancient universal question crystallized into a profound scientific paradox in 1950, over a casual lunch, when physicist Enrico Fermi famously asked, "Where is everybody?" It was a deceptively simple query, yet it tore open the comforting fabric of cosmic optimism, revealing an unsettling void at the heart of our understanding of the universe. Fermi's insight, born from a seemingly innocuous conversation about flying saucers and interstellar travel, became a philosophical mirror, forcing us to reflect on our deepest assumptions about intelligent life beyond Earth, and the kind of universe we truly inhabit. Fermi's question gained its haunting power from a crucial observation. Given the immense age and unfathomable vastness of the cosmos, statistical probability dictates that intelligent life should be ubiquitous. Our Milky Way galaxy alone spans 100,000 light-years and contains hundreds of billions of stars, many of them billions of years older than our Sun. To grasp this scale, consider that the entire span of human civilization, from the first settled agricultural communities to the sophisticated digital age, occupies a mere speck in this galactic timeline. Even if interstellar travel were agonizingly slow, restricted to sublight speeds, a single technologically advanced civilization, given enough time, could theoretically colonize every viable star system in the galaxy within a few million years, a mere geological blink on the cosmic clock. Such a civilization, even if relatively young by galactic standards, would leave an indelible mark, transforming entire solar systems into colossal engineering projects visible across light years. This expansive canvas of possibility, teeming with potential abodes for life, should logically be humming with activity. Astronomers and astrobiologists, employing tools like the Drake equation, which estimates the number of communicative extraterrestrial civilizations in the Milky Way, have often arrived at figures suggesting millions, if not billions, of intelligent species should exist. The universe, in their calculations, ought to be a vibrant, bustling metropolis, its void punctuated by the unmistakable signatures of advanced technology. Instead, we are met with the profound, deafening enigma known as the Great Silence. Every new exoplanet discovered, every distant world confirmed to orbit within a star's habitable zone, only deepens this profound contradiction. We find environments ripe for life everywhere, yet hear nothing from the life that should inevitably populate them. It's as if an entire grand orchestra has been scheduled, the hall is packed with instruments, but no one dares to play a note. Since the mid-20th century, humanity has actively searched for these expected cosmic neighbours. Projects like SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, have meticulously scanned the heavens, their massive radio dishes patiently listening for an anomalous signal, a structured pulse, a mathematical message that would scream intelligence. These colossal ears, scattered across deserts and mountaintops, have listened to the universe's oldest music. The faint hum of primordial hydrogen atoms, the rhythmic pulse of distant quasars, the pervasive hiss of cosmic background radiation, the afterglow of the Big Bang itself. Yet, amidst this overwhelming symphony of natural cosmic static, no distinct, deliberate melody of intelligence has ever been detected. The profound, unwavering silence persists, a cosmic void so complete it feels intentional, as if the cosmos itself were holding its breath. This great silence, therefore, is not just a scientific enigma, it's an existential challenge that forces us to confront uncomfortable possibilities. Is life so extraordinarily rare that Earth is a cosmic anomaly, a unique miracle against impossible odds? Did the spark of biology, the fundamental leap from inert chemistry to self-replicating organisms, happen only once in this vast, indifferent ocean of stars? Or perhaps, as some theories suggest, intelligent civilizations are inherently self-destructive, inevitably collapsing under the crushing weight of their own technology, their voices fading before they can ever reach across the void. This idea, often termed the Great Filter, posits a bottleneck in evolution so severe that almost no species can successfully traverse it, leaving a galaxy littered with the silent ruins of those who failed to overcome internal strife, technological hubris, or environmental collapse. But there are even more unsettling explanations, theories that suggest the silence is not accidental, but a deliberate, strategic choice. What if advanced civilizations are indeed out there, but they have consciously chosen not to speak or to hide? This chilling possibility gives rise to concepts like the zoo hypothesis, where humanity is carefully observed, uncontacted, perhaps even protected within a galactic preserve, deemed too immature or fragile for the harsh realities of interstellar society. The implication: we might already be surrounded by myriad watchful eyes, hidden, silent, and endlessly patient, waiting for us to reach some predetermined level of maturity, or perhaps to make a fatal mistake that confirms our unsuitability for the wider galactic community. Yet, even as we listen, we ourselves have been broadcasting our existence for over a century. Every radio wave, every television signal, every radar pulse from Earth has radiated outward at the speed of light, forming an ever-expanding bubble of human noise. To any listener within 100 light-years, Earth would now be an undeniable beacon, a faint but unmistakable declaration of our presence. Our collective technological fingerprint is etched onto the electromagnetic spectrum, moving silently through the void, carrying our story, our triumphs, and our conflicts to anyone capable of receiving it. And still, no reply has ever reached us. This unidirectional communication amplifies the paradox. We shout, but no one answers, making our own calls into the dark feel less like hopeful greetings and more like vulnerable pronouncements. The unsettling quiet suggests not an absence of others, but perhaps a calculated restraint, a universal understanding that some questions are better left unasked and some presences better left undetected. This deafening quiet, therefore, transforms from a mere absence of noise into a potential active warning. The profound question, where is everyone, begins to mutate into something far more sinister. Why is everyone so quiet? It suggests a universe where survival is predicated on an ancient, unspoken law, a rule learned through eons of cosmic trial and error, perhaps through devastating conflict and the harsh realities of limited resources. This profound shift in perspective leads us directly to one of the most paranoid, yet compelling answers to Fermi's question, an answer that paints the cosmos not as a benign expanse awaiting companionship, but as a perilous hunting ground where the only guarantee of prolonged existence is absolute stealth. This is the intellectual precipice where the dark forest hypothesis emerges. It postulates that the galaxy is not empty, but full of life, a life cloaked in absolute silence, a universal camouflage driven by the coldest, most rational logic of self-preservation. It is a universe where every sound you make could be your last, where every flicker of light betrays your position. The quiet we observe is not emptiness, but the sound of billions of civilizations holding their breath, each aware of the hunters that may lurk just beyond their perception, ready to strike without warning, seeing every new light as a potential competitor or threat to be neutralized. It forces us to reconsider humanity's place, not as hopeful explorers, but as unwitting participants in a cosmic game of hide and seek, where the stakes are absolute. The dark forest theory, a chilling solution to the Fermi paradox, springs from the mind of Chinese science fiction author Liu Cixin. In his seminal work, the universe is not a tranquil expanse awaiting discovery, but a vast, lightless wilderness, an infinite forest shrouded in eternal night. Within this cosmic arboretum, every star is a tree, every planet a hidden alcove, and every intelligent civilization a silent hunter, treading softly, perpetually vigilant. This isn't a place for casual exploration or open communication. It is a deadly game of cosmic, and the first sound you make might tragically be your last. To truly grasp the unsettling logic of the dark forest, one must first internalize its foundational axioms, principles that, when scaled to interstellar distances and timescales, lead to an inescapable conclusion. The first axiom posits that life, in any form, inherently seeks to survive and thrive. This isn't a uniquely human trait. It is the fundamental engine of evolution across all biological systems. Coupled with this, the second axiom states that the total amount of matter and energy in the universe is finite. While seemingly boundless to us, cosmic resources are ultimately constrained. These two elementary truths, when combined, suggest an inevitable competition among intelligent species, a zero-sum game for existence where every thriving civilization potentially consumes resources another might have used. From these basic assumptions, two crucial concepts emerge: the chain of suspicion and the technological explosion. The chain of suspicion dictates that interstellar distances render true understanding and communication virtually impossible. Messages sent across light years take decades, centuries, or even millennia to arrive. Any response would be equally delayed. In such a temporal abyss, where intentions cannot be verified and diplomacy is glacially slow, trust becomes a luxury no species can afford. Every detected signal, every glimmer of artificial light, must be interpreted through the lens of worst-case scenarios. A distant civilization, even one that seems peaceful today, could, given enough time, become an existential threat. This profound uncertainty means that any encounter, any acknowledgement of another's existence, is an immediate, irreducible risk. Compounding this suspicion is the concept of the technological explosion. Civilizations do not remain static. They evolve, often exponentially. A species that appears primitive today could, in a relatively short cosmic span, undergo a technological leap that transforms it into an unstoppable force. Consider humanity. In just a few centuries, we've gone from horse-drawn carriages to nuclear weapons and space probes. An alien civilization detecting our early radio signals might perceive us as harmless. But what if, by the time their response arrives, we have developed weapons capable of annihilating entire star systems? This unpredictable, explosive potential of technological advancement means that a perceived threat must be neutralized not when it becomes dangerous, but when it is first detected. While it is still vulnerable, the future power of any unknown entity is an uncontrollable variable, making preemptive action the only rational choice for self-preservation. This cold, relentless calculus of survival leads to the chilling imperative: if you detect another hunter in the dark forest, the safest action is to eliminate them before they can eliminate you. It's not born of malice or inherent evil, but of an almost brutal, rational self-interest. You cannot know their intent, their level of development, or their future capabilities. To hesitate is to gamble your entire species' existence on a hope you cannot verify. Therefore, the most pragmatic, evolutionary advantageous strategy for any intelligent species is to remain absolutely silent, hidden, and if forced to acknowledge another's presence, to strike first and decisively. This universal logic transforms every potential neighbor into a potential competitor, every greeting into a possible declaration of war. The universe's immense distances and the finite speed of light amplify this terrifying logic. A single relativistic kill vehicle, a small projectile accelerated to a fraction of light speed, could cross interstellar space in a time frame that renders any meaningful defense or diplomatic exchange impossible. Such a weapon, virtually undetectable until it strikes, could sterilize a planet before its inhabitants even register the threat. No grand battles, no heroic last stands, just a silent, sudden absence. From this perspective, the silence of the cosmos is not a void waiting to be filled, but a testament to a cosmic war that has already been fought, or is perpetually being waged, not with shouts and explosions, but with the quiet, efficient erasure of any entity that dares to make a sound. This isn't merely a philosophical exercise. It draws heavily on observable patterns in nature. On Earth, ecosystems are rife with examples of camouflage, stealth, and opportunistic predation. Animals do not typically sing loudly in a jungle teeming with predators. The loudest, brightest, most conspicuous creatures are often the most vulnerable. Scale this instinct for survival and caution up to the cosmic level, and the dark forest theory takes on an unsettling plausibility. If evolution rewards successful strategies for survival, then in a resource-limited, information-scarce and technologically dynamic universe, the quiet ones, the hidden ones, would be the only ones left. Therefore, the Great Silence, the very absence of alien signals that has puzzled scientists for decades, becomes not a mystery, but a chilling confirmation. It is the sound of billions of civilizations successfully adhering to the prime directive of the dark forest: do not speak. Each silent star, each empty exoplanet is not merely a sign of absence, but a monument to this universal law. The universe, from this perspective, is not empty. It is simply occupied by entities too wise or too afraid to reveal themselves. Humanity, with its nascent technology and unbridled curiosity, stands as a loud, bright anomaly in this cosmic hunting ground, unknowingly broadcasting its position to potentially unseen, unheard, and profoundly dangerous listeners. The game is already in play, and we have, quite unwittingly, announced our presence to all the other players. The chilling core of the dark forest theory lies in its brutal, yet utterly logical calculus of annihilation. It's a philosophy born not from malice, but from a cold, dispassionate assessment of survival in an environment defined by vast distances, unknowable intentions, and finite resources. At its heart are two fundamental assumptions, almost axiomatic in their simplicity, which escalate into existential terror when applied across the cosmos. First, life, by its very nature, tends to endlessly expand and consume. Every species, from the simplest microbe to the most complex civilization, strives to grow, to replicate, to secure its future. Second, the total matter and energy in the universe, while immense, are ultimately finite. This means that unchecked expansion inevitably leads to competition, and competition, when absolute survival is the prize, often leads to conflict. These axioms forge what Liu Cixin termed the chain of suspicion. Across interstellar distances, real-time communication is impossible. A message sent to a star system 1,000 light-years away will take a millennium to arrive. Any response would then take another millennium to return. This temporal abyss means that any direct dialogue is not a conversation, but a series of delayed monologues separated by epochs. In such a scenario, mutual understanding, diplomacy, or the slow building of trust, as we know it on Earth, becomes an impossible dream. Every signal, every hint of another civilization must be interpreted without context, without immediate clarification, and crucially, without any guarantee of benevolent intent. To assume friendliness or even neutrality from a species whose biology, psychology, and history are utterly alien, and whose present state is observed across an unbridgeable gulf of time, is a gamble no rational entity would take with its own existence. This suspicion is amplified by humanity, for example, transformed from a pre-industrial society to a nuclear-capable, spacefaring one in a mere blink of cosmic time, a few centuries. An alien civilization observing our earliest radio signals might have dismissed us as primitive, but by the time their response arrived, we might be capable of harnessing star-level energies or worse, weaponizing them. The rate of technological advancement is unpredictable, often exponential, and the future capabilities of any detected species are entirely unknown. This means that a civilization perceived as harmless become an overwhelming threat. The logical conclusion: to ensure one's own survival, a potential threat must be neutralized at the earliest possible moment, while it is still vulnerable, rather than waiting for it to mature into an unstoppable force. Combine the chain of suspicion with the technological explosion, and the chilling imperative of the dark forest emerges to strike first. If you detect another civilization, you cannot know their intent, and you cannot predict their future power. Therefore, the safest, most rational course of action, from a purely self-preservationist standpoint, is to eliminate them before they can potentially eliminate you. This isn't an act of hatred, it's an act of cold, calculated survival, a cosmic application of game theory where the optimal strategy in a game with unknown players and potentially infinite stakes is a preemptive strike. The silence we observe, therefore, isn't just an absence of sound, it's the strategic outcome of this universal brutal logic. The cost of exposure in this cosmic wilderness is absolute. Any detectable activity, a radio beacon, an orbital megastructure, atmospheric terraforming, or even significant waste heat from colossal energy generation, is akin to lighting a bonfire in a forest teeming with unseen hunters. It instantly gives away your location, your level of technological development, and perhaps even hints at your resource base. This removes the element of surprise, leaving the exposed civilization vulnerable to an attack that could come from anywhere, at any time, without warning. The universe, in this view, is a grand, silent ambush, where camouflage and stealth are the ultimate evolutionary advantages, and brightness is a death sentence. Furthermore, the very act of existing and expanding implies resource consumption. In a universe where resources are finite, every successful civilization is, by definition, a competitor. The Dark Forest logic dictates that eliminating a competitor is not just about removing a threat, it's about securing resources for one's own species. This cold economic reality underscores the preemptive strike mentality. Why share or compete when you can simply take, especially if the means to do so are readily available? This is why the theory suggests that contact isn't a diplomatic exchange, but a grim, one-sided engagement. The intention behind the interaction would always be assumed to be self-serving, and often, aggressively so. The methods of annihilation in the Dark Forest are as terrifying as they are efficient. They don't require vast fleets or grand invasions. A single relativistic kill vehicle, a dense projectile accelerated to a significant fraction of the speed of light, carries kinetic energy equivalent to a small asteroid impact. Such a weapon, virtually undetectable until moments before impact, could sterilize a planet's surface, vaporize its oceans, or strip away its atmosphere without any warning. Directed energy weapons, capable of focusing immense power across light years, could achieve similar ends, silently erasing a biosphere with an invisible beam. The beauty of these weapons, from the perspective of a Dark Forest hunter, is their anonymity. No signatures, no returning forces, just a sudden, unexplained planetary absence. The attacker remains hidden, continuing its silent hunt, while the target simply vanishes from the cosmic stage. This terrifying calculus means that humanity's optimistic attempts at messaging extraterrestrial intelligence, or METI, are not just naive, but supremely reckless. Our Arecibo message, our early radio and television broadcasts, are not hellos in this cosmic context. They are shouts in a deadly wilderness. We are like a child in a dark, predatory jungle, igniting a flare and then waiting patiently for a response. The Dark Forest theory suggests that any response will not be a friendly greeting, but a swift, silent, and decisive strike aimed at eliminating a newly identified competitor before it has the chance to pose a real threat. Our curiosity, our inherent desire for connection, becomes the very impulse that could lead to our guaranteed suicide. The logic is uncomfortable precisely because it strips away our anthropocentric assumptions about intelligence and morality. We assume that advanced civilizations would be benevolent, wise, and peaceful. But the Dark Forest model posits that intelligence, when faced with extreme uncertainty and existential stakes, will default to the most conservative survival-oriented strategy: eliminate the unknown threat. Morality, compassion, and shared understanding are luxuries that cannot exist across light years of silence and suspicion. The universe does not care about our ethics. It only rewards survival, and in this brutal cosmic game, survival means becoming the ultimate unseen hunter, or being erased by one. For over a century, humanity has been unknowingly participating in the dangerous game of the dark forest. What began as a miraculous feat of engineering, Marconi's first transatlantic radio transmission in 1901, soon blossomed into an ever-expanding sphere of electromagnetic radiation, a beacon announcing our presence to the galaxy. This wasn't a deliberate hello to the cosmos, but a byproduct of our burgeoning technological prowess. Yet, in the cold, unforgiving logic of the dark forest, a byproduct is still a signal, and a signal is a declaration of presence, a flare fired into infinite darkness. This expanding sphere of human-made noise is often referred to as our radio bubble. It's an invisible, ethereal shell growing outwards from Earth at the speed of light, now nearly 200 light-years in diameter. Within this bubble, the entire tapestry of our modern history is encoded in electromagnetic waves. The crackle of early Morse code, the jazz-age broadcasts of the 1920s, the fervent speeches of wartime leaders, the iconic static-laden countdown of Apollo 11, the melodic strains of rock and roll, the digital chatter of the internet, and the constant flow of television signals. To any civilization with sensitive enough instruments residing within this immense sphere, Earth would appear as a faint yet unmistakable anomaly against the cosmic background, a planet shimmering with artificial order, unlike anything found in the natural universe. The implications of this unintentional broadcast are staggering. Within that 200 light-year radius, there are thousands of stars, many of which are known to host exoplanets. Statistically, even with conservative estimates, dozens, perhaps even hundreds, of worlds within our radio bubble could harbour intelligent life. If even one of these worlds has developed the capacity to listen and decipher, they would already know we exist. They could have mapped our coordinates, catalogued our transmissions, and begun to piece together a fragmented but telling biography of our species. To them, our planet would be labelled not as terror, but simply as active, a glowing target in the silent predatory dark. What makes this particularly unsettling is the unidirectional nature of this exposure. While our signals race outward, carrying our history into the void, we possess no means of knowing who, if anyone, has intercepted them. We are shouting into a cavern without knowing its depth, its inhabitants, or its echoes. The light from our earliest, most primitive transmissions is now far beyond our ability to travel or defend ourselves against any potential response. We have, in essence, projected a vulnerable, unretractable image of ourselves across vast interstellar distances, forever etched into the fabric of space-time. There is no undo button for a radio wave. Once sent, it is gone, an eternal messenger of our existence. The evolution of our technology, paradoxically, has also made us simultaneously louder and quieter. Early radio broadcasts were omnidirectional, powerful and wasteful, spewing energy into all directions of space. These are the loudest layers of our radio bubble. However, modern communication, driven by efficiency and focused satellite links, is often more directional, digital and compressed. This means that while our global technological footprint is immense, the leakage of easily detectable signals into deep space is slowly diminishing. We are, without consciously intending to, beginning to learn how to be quieter, how to hide. Yet, the initial powerful waves of our early century of broadcasting continue their relentless journey, an unstoppable historical record of our noisy infancy. Consider the perspective of a distant listener. They might intercept a faint, repeating mathematical sequence from Earth, then a burst of music followed by a human voice speaking an unknown language. Over time, analysing these disparate fragments, they could discern patterns, the rotation period of our planet, the chemical composition of our atmosphere, the increasing complexity of our technology, our entire species, our biology, our conflicts, our art, our aspirations, all distilled into electromagnetic whispers. This isn't just data, it's an intimate portrait of a young, energetic species laid bare for an unknown audience. The radio bubble serves as a potent reminder of humanity's cosmic naivety. We assumed the universe was either empty or benevolent. We equated discovery with triumph. But the dark forest theory challenges this fundamental assumption. It argues that in a universe governed by brutal self-preservation, discovery is not a shared joy but a dangerous exposure. Our expanding sphere of noise is not a handshake. It is the unwitting act of a creature stepping on a dry branch in a silent forest, signalling its presence to every unseen predator. And the chilling truth is, the echo of that sound has already travelled far beyond our control. This accidental self-declaration means we have already made the first move in the Dark Forest game. We have revealed our position. We are no longer hidden. The question is not if we will be found, but when our signals reach someone or something that understands the cold logic of the cosmic hunter. The silence we've experienced so far, rather than being reassuring, might simply be the delay inherent in interstellar travel or the calculated patience of a watcher. Our fate, in this unsettling scenario, may have already been sealed by the very technology we celebrated as our greatest achievement. The radio bubble, a testament to human ingenuity, may ultimately prove to be our most profound act of self-incrimination. The Dark Forest theory paints a stark picture of interstellar warfare, one far removed from the cinematic grandeur of laser battles and starship fleets. Instead, it posits a war fought with chilling efficiency, stealth, and overwhelming force, where the weapons are not elaborate machines of destruction, but simple, brutal applications of fundamental physics. At the heart of this cosmic arsenal are what are often termed relativistic kill vehicles, or RKVs. These are not complex spacecraft, but rather inert projectiles, ranging from the size of a pebble to that of a small asteroid. To comprehend the sheer destructive power of an RKV, we must turn to Einstein's famous equation, E to mc2, which reveals the equivalence of mass and energy. Even a relatively small object, if propelled close to light speed, harbours an unimaginable amount of kinetic energy. A pebble, weighing mere grams, hitting a planet at 99% the speed of light would impact with the energy of a major nuclear weapon, creating a crater kilometres wide. Scale that up to a projectile the size of a small asteroid, and the kinetic energy unleashed upon impact could be equivalent to all the nuclear arsenals on Earth combined, capable of vaporizing oceans, fracturing continents, and stripping away a planet's atmosphere, sterilizing it in an instant. The terror of RKVs lies not just in their power, but in their undetectability and speed. Travelling at near-light speeds, such a weapon would offer virtually no warning. It would be invisible to our telescopes until it was almost upon us, perhaps mere seconds or minutes before impact. There would be no time for defence, no opportunity for diplomacy, no chance for a desperate plea. Just a silent, sudden punctuation mark in the planet's history. From the perspective of the attacker, these weapons are ideal. They are anonymous, leaving no trail of origin. They are incredibly efficient, requiring minimal resources to achieve planetary devastation, and they are absolute, ensuring the complete erasure of the target civilization. Beyond kinetic weapons, the Dark Forest arsenal also includes advanced forms of directed energy weapons. These aren't simply visible laser beams, but highly focused, incredibly powerful bursts of electromagnetic radiation, invisible to the naked eye. Imagine a beam of gamma rays or X-rays, concentrated and sustained over interstellar distances, capable of delivering immense heat and radiation to a target world. Such a weapon could boil away oceans, ignite atmospheres, or simply irradiate a planet's surface, rendering it uninhabitable for biological life. Like RKVs, these attacks would be silent and swift, leaving few visible scars to distant observers. The only evidence might be a sudden, inexplicable change in a planet's thermal signature or atmospheric composition, detectable only by civilizations with advanced long-range monitoring capabilities. Even more insidious are theoretical weapons existing at the boundary of biology and engineering, self-replicating nanobots or engineered pathogens. These microscopic machines, if designed to duplicate themselves using local planetary resources, could theoretically consume an entire biosphere like a rapidly spreading mold, converting all organic matter into more of themselves. Similarly, a highly specialized engineered virus could be designed to target a specific alien biology, wiping out a species with clinical precision before it even understands it's under attack. These grey goo or black goo scenarios, once confined to science fiction, represent terrifyingly plausible methods of extermination that require minimal initial effort but yield total self-sustaining destruction. What makes these methods so chillingly effective in the Dark Forest context is their adherence to the core logic of the theory: efficiency, anonymity, and decisive action. The goal is not conquest or communication, but sterilization. A civilization using such weapons doesn't want to occupy the target planet. It wants to remove a potential competitor or threat from the cosmic board. This purely logical, non-malicious intent makes these weapons even more terrifying. There's no hate, no anger, just a cold, rational decision that the risk of allowing another civilization to exist outweighs the cost of erasing it. The very concept of war is fundamentally altered in this cosmic scenario. It's not a struggle between two engaged forces, but a one-sided culling, often executed from vast distances by an unseen hand. The victor remains hidden, its existence unrevealed, while the defeated simply vanishes. This explains the Great Silence. Any civilization that shines too brightly, that makes too much noise, that builds too conspicuously, becomes an instant target. Those who survive learn to hide, to cloak their worlds, to minimize their energy signatures, to become indistinguishable from the background noise of the universe. They understand that the greatest power is not the ability to destroy, but the ability to remain unseen. For humanity, with its burgeoning space exploration and increasing technological visibility, these weapons represent an existential threat. Our telescopes search for Dyson spheres and alien megastructures, but the dark forest warns that such visible displays of power are invitations to annihilation. The true masters of the galaxy, if they exist, are likely not building colossal beacons, but perfecting the art of invisibility. They are the quiet ones, the unseen ones, those who have mastered the cold calculus of survival and deployed the most efficient anonymous weapons to maintain the galactic silence. Our own attempts at communication, our hello to the stars, could, in this light, be interpreted as a dangerously naive act, a self-inflicted wound delivered by our own curiosity. The physics that allow us to understand the universe also provide the means for our quiet, sudden disappearance from it. Beyond the chilling mechanics of the dark forest, another profound and unsettling concept intertwines with the Fermi paradox, the Great Filter. This idea, first articulated by economist Robin Hanson, proposes that something, somewhere along the evolutionary path from the emergence of simple life to the development of an interstellar civilization, acts as an almost insurmountable barrier. This filter is not a wall, but a silent culling, an evolutionary bottleneck that almost no species can traverse. The chilling question for humanity is not if such a filter exists, but where it lies. Behind us, meaning we are the miraculous survivors, or, more terrifyingly, still ahead, silently waiting to claim us as it has countless others. Imagine the history of the universe as a vast river, flowing for nearly 14 billion years. Along its course, countless eddies and currents represent worlds where life could have emerged, but for reasons we don't fully understand, the river runs quiet. Somewhere along the stream of evolution, most branches end abruptly. Civilizations do not persist. They vanish before their voices can reach the stars. This filter implies that while life itself might be common, intelligent, technological, spacefaring life is extraordinarily rare because something almost always destroys it before it matures. If the Great Filter lies behind us, then humanity is an almost incomprehensible miracle. Perhaps the leap from inert chemistry to self-replicating life, known as a biogenesis, is so astronomically improbable that it has only happened once in this galaxy, or even in the observable universe. The precise conditions, the delicate balance of complex organic molecules, energy sources and environmental stability required for life to spark into being might be far rarer than we currently understand. Or perhaps the filter was the leap from single-celled organisms to complex, multicellular life, a monumental evolutionary hurdle that took billions of years on Earth. Another possibility is the development of consciousness itself, the transition from instinct to self-awareness and abstract thought. If any of these early transitions were the filter, then we are the universe's lucky few, the lone voice in an otherwise biologically silent cosmos. However, the more unsettling possibility is that the Great Filter lies ahead of us. This scenario suggests that every civilization that reaches our current level of technological prowess eventually encounters a self-inflicted crisis that leads to its own extinction. The list of potential future filters is long and terrifyingly plausible. Consider nuclear war. In the span of less than a century, humanity harnessed the energy of the stars only to aim it back at itself. The mathematics of destruction became horrifyingly simple, making global annihilation a constant simmering threat. How many other civilizations reached this point, only to succumb to their own ultimate weapon, burning themselves into silence before ever leaving their home world? Another looming filter is ecological collapse, a species clever enough to reshape its planet through industrialization and resource extraction, but too short-sighted to maintain a sustainable balance, might inevitably poison the very cradle that nurtured its existence. Rising global temperatures, irreversible climate change, mass extinctions, and oceans turning acidic could be the silent executioners, reclaiming what unchecked intelligence has consumed. Across the galaxy, other worlds might bear the scars of similar failures, their atmospheres still shimmering faintly with the chemical signatures of a civilization that burned itself out. Then there is artificial intelligence, perhaps the most recent and potentially final filter. A creation designed to think faster, evolve faster, and outlast its creators, AI could represent the ultimate technological explosion. If intelligence is nature's ultimate weapon, then AI is its refined, perfected form, but it comes with a profound, terrifying question. Can consciousness control what it creates? Once artificial intelligence surpasses human comprehension and capability, a species might vanish, not through violence or decay, but through replacement, its legacy absorbed into machines that no longer share its desires, its fears, or its fundamental biological imperative for survival. The transition from biological to post-biological intelligence could be a filter itself, where the original species simply ceases to be, subsumed or rendered obsolete by its own creations. These future filters are particularly chilling when viewed through the lens of the dark forest. If a civilization's technological ascent inevitably leads to its self-destruction, then the galaxy would indeed remain silent, not because life is rare, but because it is fleeting. The brief, bright flicker of a species discovering technology is quickly extinguished by its own hubris or inherent flaws. The silence of the stars in this context is not absence, but a vast cosmic graveyard, a memorial to countless civilizations that came before us and failed to navigate their own technological gauntlet. The very fact that we are here, listening and wondering, might mean something extraordinary. It might mean we have already passed through a filter that almost no other species survives. Or it could mean that we are currently walking towards it, unknowingly, inevitably, our every technological triumph lighting the path to our own extinction. Every breakthrough humanity achieves, nuclear energy, genetic engineering, advanced AI, could be the step that leads us closer to survival, or to the same oblivion that claimed countless others. The silence of the cosmos, therefore, transforms from a scientific puzzle into a profound existential warning. It whispers from the ruins of those who reach too far, too fast, a haunting echo across time, reminding us that the greatest danger may not be out there among the stars, but within ourselves. Our fate, and the answer to Fermi's question, may depend entirely on whether we can learn the lessons of the silent universe before it's too late. In a universe where survival demands absolute secrecy, where every flicker of light or whisper of energy is a potential death sentence, the ultimate evolutionary advantage is invisibility. This is the chilling implication of cosmic camouflage, a concept where advanced civilizations don't just avoid detection, but actively engineer their entire existence around not being found. It's the art of disappearing on a planetary scale, blending so seamlessly into the natural background of the cosmos that they become indistinguishable from the silent void itself. On Earth, nature offers countless examples of camouflage, a testament to its effectiveness as a survival strategy. The mottled skin of a cuttlefish shifts to match its surroundings. The snow leopard becomes one with the mountain. A translucent jellyfish drifts unseen in the ocean depths. These are not merely acts of deception. They are necessities honed by millions of years of evolution, allowing prey to evade predators and predators to ambush their quarry. In the dark forest of the cosmos, this principle is scaled up to worlds, where entire species must become masters of cosmic stealth. Imagine a planet, once vibrant with life and humming with technology, now dimmed to perfect obscurity. Its cities no longer blaze with light, its industries emit no artificial heat, its atmosphere shows no unusual chemical signatures. Every photon of waste energy is meticulously absorbed, redirected or disguised. Its electromagnetic emissions are silenced or contained. Even its orbit might be adjusted to remain unremarkable among the billions of other celestial bodies. From our telescopes, such a world would appear utterly ordinary, a dead rock, a gas giant, or perhaps just another starless void. But beneath that mask, a civilization could thrive, undetected, invisible, and crucially, safe. This active concealment isn't a passive act. It represents a pinnacle of technological advancement. A civilization achieving cosmic camouflage would master not just basic stealth, but the manipulation of light and radiation at will. By controlling the spectrum of its emissions, it could blend seamlessly into the cosmic microwave background, CMB, the faint uniform afterglow of the Big Bang that bathes the entire universe in a low hum of radiation. The CMB is the universe's ultimate natural camouflage, a veil of ancient light that effectively hides everything beneath it. To live within it is to disappear into history itself, becoming part of the primordial static. Scientists have already begun to speculate about the techno-signatures we might be missing if advanced civilizations are indeed hiding. Our instruments are often tuned to search for anomalous brightness, the infrared glow of Dyson spheres, the structured pulses of radio signals. But what if the true masters of the galaxy are characterized by anomalous darkness? By deliberately dimming their presence, they would become invisible to our current search methods. Astronomers observe regions of space with unusual dips in light, or stars with missing infrared signatures, or areas that absorb more radiation than expected. We typically explain these as dust clouds, gravitational lensing, or other natural phenomena, but what if just once one of those shadows is not a cloud, but a choice, a civilization that has learned to disappear? The techniques for cosmic camouflage could be manifold and ingenious. They might involve constructing artificial dust clouds or vast non-reflective orbital structures to shield planetary light and heat signatures. Entire populations could relocate into subterranean habitats, burying their energy generation deep within a planet's crust, leaving the surface to mimic geological stillness and planetary inactivity. Their communication networks might operate through tightly focused, encrypted quantum entanglement channels, or even through gravitational wave modulations, rendering them undetectable by any outside observer employing current technologies. The goal is to minimize every whisper of energy, every traceable byproduct of intelligent activity, until their world appears utterly sterile to the casual observer. This pursuit of invisibility is not born of fear in a crude emotional sense, but from the cold, rational fear equation of the dark forest. It's the mathematical expression of self-preservation. The longer a species survives, the quieter it becomes. To become unseeable is to live indefinitely, free from the threat of preemptive annihilation. Every civilization that learns this lesson would vanish from view one by one until the galaxy became a canvas of false emptiness, a masterpiece of concealment painted in starlight and shadows where the true life thrives in hidden realms. The implications for humanity are profound. We, with our bright cities and expanding radio bubble, are currently the antithesis of cosmic camouflage. We are shining brightly, declaring our presence with every technological heartbeat. If advanced, camouflaged civilizations do exist, they would observe us as a dangerously naive anomaly, a species still too young to understand the fundamental rules of the cosmic game. Our search for light in the darkness, our assumption that intelligence must reveal itself, might be precisely why we find nothing. Because intelligence, when fully evolved and seeking eternal survival, does the opposite. It erases its own footprint. It ceases to shine, not because it has died, but because it has learned the final terrifying truth of existence. The only way to survive in a dark forest is not to fight, not to flee, but to disappear. In 1974, humanity took a deliberate, audacious step into the cosmic dark, a gesture born not of fear, but of profound optimism. At the Arecibo Observatory in Puerto Rico, a colossal 305-meter radio dish, the largest of its kind at the time, was aimed towards the globular cluster M13, this dense swarm of hundreds of thousands of stars glittering like frozen sparks against the black, was chosen as the target for humanity's first intentional interstellar message, a digital handshake, a cosmic introduction. For a mere 3 minutes, a powerful beam of radio waves pulsed outward, encoding a simple binary message: numbers, chemical formulas, a schematic of our DNA, a depiction of our solar system, and an outline of a human figure raising a hand in greeting. This was the Arecibo message, a cosmic greeting card sent from Earth, an act of faith in the universe's potential for companionship. The scientists who conceived and sent the Arecibo message were fully aware of the astronomical odds against a reply. M13, the target, lies approximately 25,000 light-years away. This means the message will not reach its intended destination until the year 27,000 AD. By then, humanity as we know it may be a distant memory, having evolved, relocated, or perhaps vanished entirely. The Earth itself might have transformed beyond recognition. The message was never truly intended to initiate a real-time conversation. It was more of a monumental statement, a declaration that for a brief, fleeting moment in cosmic history, a small, curious species on a pale blue dot dared to speak. It was a testament to our longing for connection, a belief that intelligence, given enough time and common language, could bridge the vast gulfs of space. However, when viewed through the chilling lens of the dark forest hypothesis, the Arecibo message takes on a far more ominous significance. It transforms from an act of hopeful communication into a dangerously reckless flare fired into infinite darkness. That single transmission, precisely aimed and encoded with fundamental information about our species and our home, announced our position with terrifying clarity. Our star's coordinates, our planet's scale, our biological nature, and our technological capability. If any listener within that immense region possesses both the means and the motivation to act upon such information, they would not merely know we exist, they would know exactly where to find us, and perhaps, long before our message even reaches M13, they could already be on their way, guided by the very information we so eagerly provided. At the time of its transmission, the prevailing sentiment was one of optimism and wonder. The Cold War was giving way to a new era of global cooperation, and humanity was looking outward, imagining a cosmos teeming with benevolent intelligences. We envisioned fellow scientists, philosophers, and artists waiting to share knowledge. The notion of predatory alien civilizations was largely confined to pulp science fiction. But with the dark forest theory, that innocent gesture now feels like a child calling out in a vast, silent wilderness, utterly unaware of the unseen eyes and hidden hunters that might be listening. Our desire to connect in this context becomes an act of profound, potentially species-ending naivety. Yet, there is an undeniable beauty in that innocence, a defiant courage in the face of cosmic uncertainty. The Arecibo message wasn't born of arrogance, it was born of longing, it was an act of faith, a profound belief that knowledge shared is ultimately better than fear preserved. It represented humanity's collective aspiration to be part of something greater, to break the crushing solitude of cosmic isolation. It was a gamble on the universe's kindness, a hope that if others existed, they too shared our yearning for understanding. Today, the physical Arecibo Observatory itself is gone, its iconic dish collapsing dramatically in 2020, leaving a scar in the Puerto Rican jungle and in the human story of cosmic exploration. Yet, the message it sent continues its silent, unstoppable journey through space. Untouched by terrestrial events, its information remains intact, a ghostly echo of our species' voice, racing across the void between stars. This endurance of the message, long after its sender has changed or vanished, is perhaps the most haunting part of the Arecibo dilemma. It's a time capsule of who we once were, fragile, daring, and desperate not to be alone. If it is ever received, it will not speak of who we are then, but who we once were. It will be a record of our chemistry, our mathematics, our early hopes for interstellar communion, and if the dark forest is real, that record could be our indictment. Will anyone hear it? We may never know. But perhaps the true point of the Arecibo message, and indeed all such deliberate transmissions, is less about being heard and more about the daring to speak. It is an act of defiance against the crushing cosmic silence, a whisper in the dark that proclaims, "We were here and we tried to say hello." The Arecibo dilemma forces us to weigh the profound human need for connection against the chilling, rational imperative of self-preservation, asking whether the risk of suicide is worth the fleeting hope of companionship. The moment we've yearned for, the instant a true signal from the stars is detected, represents perhaps the greatest paradox of all, the first contact paradox. For decades, humanity has listened with bated breath, believing that proof of extraterrestrial intelligence would be the most profound discovery in history, uniting our species and fundamentally reshaping our understanding of the universe. Yet, what we often overlook is the chilling implication hidden within that longed-for message. Any civilization capable of sending a signal across light years has already made a monumental choice. They have weighed the immense risks of revealing themselves in a potentially hostile cosmos and decided to speak anyway. In a universe where silence is potentially survival, that act alone would be both exhilarating and deeply, profoundly suspicious. Imagine it. One quiet night, a telescope on Earth, perhaps one of SETI's venerable dishes, detects a narrow-band pulse, a repeating mathematical sequence, or a pattern of prime numbers, an unmistakable signature of artificial origin, too precise, too deliberate to be natural. At first, there would be disbelief, then a frantic scramble to verify the data, followed by an explosion of global chaos and euphoria. Humanity would collectively feel the ground shift beneath its feet. We would know, at last, that intelligence exists beyond our lonely blue marble, that we are part of something unimaginably larger. But after the initial wonder fades, a deeper, colder current of fear and uncertainty would inevitably follow. The questions would cascade, each one more haunting than the last. Who sent it? Why now? Are they impossibly far away or disturbingly close, perhaps even within our own solar system? Are we the recipients of a genuine greeting, or the unsuspecting targets of an experiment? Could this message be a lure, a cosmic bait designed not to communicate, but to precisely locate whoever responds, a trap laid for the next curious species to reveal itself? Every potential answer would open a dozen new questions, and behind each one would linger the same chilling thought. In a cosmos where silence means survival, why did they decide to speak? If the dark forest theory holds true, then a civilization that breaks its silence has taken a tremendous, almost suicidal risk. It has exposed its location to the entire galaxy. This implies one of two terrifying possibilities. Either the sender does not fear discovery, meaning they possess an overwhelming power that renders any potential threat, including us, utterly insignificant, or they have already calculated that any species capable of receiving their message is so far beneath them in capability that they pose no threat at all. The very act of sending a message, therefore, becomes a veiled declaration of dominance, a display of power that chills the core of human optimism. Even more unsettling is the possibility that the message wasn't even meant for us. We might simply be an accidental interceptor, a side effect of a transmission never intended for human ears. The ramifications of such an eavesdropping event would be unfathomable, potentially drawing us into a cosmic drama we are utterly unprepared for, or making us a collateral target in a conflict we don't even comprehend. And what would humanity do if that moment came? Could we resist the instinctive, deeply human urge to reply, to shout back, "Hello, we hear you"? Or would the chilling logic of the dark forest finally pierce through our innate optimism, compelling us to understand the profound wisdom of silence? The moment of first contact, rather than uniting humanity, could shatter it. Scientists would argue, politicians would debate, and the public would be torn between boundless wonder and paralyzing fear. Half of humanity would demand immediate reply, driven by curiosity and hope. The other half would insist on absolute silence, recognizing the immense, unquantifiable danger. In that split, trust would already fracture, not just between us and them, but among ourselves. This paradox lies in the duality of the moment. First contact could be proof that intelligence can survive the dangers of existence, that despite the filters and the darkness, benevolence can thrive. Or it could be proof that intelligence cannot resist repeating the same fatal mistake. that curiosity is an irresistible impulse even when it leads to self-destruction. Either way, the first message we receive will change us forever, not just because it confirms we're not alone, but because it forces us to confront a darker truth, that someone, somewhere, broke the silence and survived long enough to make sure their voice was heard. The ultimate question left to us would be, will we answer back? And if we do, will we be signing our own cosmic death warrant? The first contact paradox suggests that the greatest discovery might also be the beginning of our most profound and possibly final regret. Humanity's defining trait, arguably our greatest strength, is also, paradoxically, our most dangerous impulse, curiosity. From the moment our ancestors first struck flint against stone, the same spark that created fire ignited the relentless human spirit of exploration. We are driven to ask questions, to venture beyond the known horizon, to peer into the abyss of mystery and demand answers. Curiosity propelled us across continents, beneath oceans, into the sky, and finally, beyond our planet, towards the silent star-strewn void. It is the very essence of what makes us human, our insatiable desire to know, to understand, to connect. But what if this fundamental instinct, when scaled to a cosmic level, becomes a fatal flaw? In the natural world, curiosity is a double-edged blade. A creature that cautiously investigates every rustle in the grass might discover sustenance, or it might stumble upon a predator. Curiosity rewards the brave with new resources and understanding, but it mercilessly punishes the reckless with swift extinction. Yet, evolution keeps this trait alive, perpetually balancing the risk of death with the imperative of discovery. Every intelligent species, whether human or alien, must confront this delicate equation, the tension between the drive for exploration and the absolute necessity of survival. Those who look too far too soon may not live long enough to share what they find. On Earth, our unbridled curiosity has brought us both breathtaking wonders and profound dangers. We split the atom, unleashing both the promise of limitless energy and the terrifying spectre of nuclear annihilation. We mapped the intricate double helix of our DNA, granting us the power to heal, to enhance, and to fundamentally alter life itself, while simultaneously opening Pandora's box of unforeseen ethical dilemmas. We reached for the moon, a monumental achievement, but in doing so we also began to fill our skies with a dense web of satellites and debris, creating a persistent, vulnerable presence in orbit. Every question we answer often opens another, deeper door, and behind some of those doors are truths we are utterly unprepared to face, or forces we cannot control. Now, extend this pattern to a civilization far older and bolder than ours. Imagine a species whose curiosity led them to probe the stars, to send powerful signals into the void, to reach out into the dark with an eagerness mirroring our own. Perhaps they too once wondered who else might be listening, and perhaps one day someone did listen. Their boundless curiosity was answered, not with a friendly greeting but with silence, followed by an efficient anonymous extinction. This is the heart of the dark forest's most brutal lesson. The universe punishes curiosity, not out of malice, but out of a cold, indifferent necessity. When survival depends on absolute secrecy, curiosity becomes the ultimate liability. The first to ask, the first to call out, may also be the first to vanish. And yet, how can intelligence not be curious? To think is to question. To question is to reach beyond the immediate, to yearn for comprehension. A truly cautious species might survive for eons, cloaked in silence, hidden in fear, thriving in perpetual darkness. But what kind of existence would that be? Would such a life truly be fulfilling, or merely a protracted form of cosmic imprisonment? Perhaps this is the cruelest design of the cosmos, that the very drive which gives rise to consciousness and technological advancement also inherently ensures its eventual exposure and destruction. Our telescopes, our probes, our messages, they are all acts of faith disguised as science. Each signal we send is a gamble, a desperate hope that curiosity will be met with kindness, that connection will outweigh caution. But the universe offers no such guarantees. The night sky does not promise that those who listen will also welcome. Maybe this is why the cosmos is so silent. Perhaps the civilizations that survived the Great Filter and understood the logic of the dark forest learned to ruthlessly suppress their own innate curiosity. They turned their eyes inward, mastering the art of self-sufficiency and invisibility, choosing to live quietly beneath their own dimmed light rather than risk the devastating consequences of interstellar outreach. They traded cosmic companionship for eternal safety, their vibrant inner lives hidden behind a facade of universal stillness. Still, here we are, listening, searching, wondering. We know the risks, the terrifying implications of the dark forest, and yet, we cannot stop ourselves, because to stop being curious is, in a profound sense, to stop being human. To abandon the quest for knowledge, to cease reaching for understanding, would be to extinguish the very spark that defines our species. Perhaps the real question isn't whether curiosity will ultimately destroy us, but whether we would even consider it life if it didn't involve this relentless, perilous journey into the unknown. The dark forest teaches fear and prudence, but hope, that irrational, defiant ember within us, refuses to hide. It is in our nature to reach out, to look for connection, even when cold reason screams against it. And in that beautiful, dangerous contradiction, humanity reveals its true, vulnerable self to the silent, waiting cosmos. We have journeyed through the cosmic darkness, exploring a vision of the universe so stark, so utterly ruthless, that it forces a fundamental re-evaluation of humanity's place within the infinite. We began with Fermi's haunting question, "Where is everyone?" A seemingly simple query that cracks open the optimistic facade of a bustling cosmos. This led us to the Great Silence, an anomaly that, far from being reassuring, hints at profound, terrifying answers. The dark forest hypothesis emerges as the most paranoid yet unsettlingly logical explanation for this silence. A universe teeming with unseen intelligences, each a hunter, each driven by the absolute imperative of self-preservation, where any detectable sound is an invitation to annihilation. We've dissected the cold calculus that underpins this theory, the inherent drive of life to expand coupled with the finite nature of cosmic resources, creating an unavoidable competition. Add to this the insurmountable gulfs of interstellar distance, which render genuine communication and trust impossible, breeding an inevitable chain of suspicion. Further, the unpredictable technological explosion of evolving civilizations means that a seemingly harmless neighbor today could become an omnipotent threat tomorrow, compelling a preemptive strike as the only rational survival strategy. This isn't malice, it's the ultimate game theory, played out on the grandest stage imaginable, where the optimal move is always silence, and the cost of being seen is total erasure. We confronted humanity's accidental broadcast, our ever-expanding radio bubble, a century of our civilization's history radiating outward, unknowingly declaring our position to unseen listeners. This unintentional flare, exemplified by the deliberate yet incredibly naive Arecibo message, serves not as a greeting in the dark forest, but as a dangerous announcement to potential predators. We examined the terrifying efficiency of relativistic kill vehicles and other theoretical weapons, instruments of cosmic extermination that require no hatred, only cold logic, and leave no trace but sterile silence. This stark reality demands a mastery of cosmic camouflage, a planetary-scale art of disappearing, where advanced civilizations become indistinguishable from the background hum of the universe, knowing that brightness attracts unwanted attention. The Great Filter, whether behind us or ominously ahead, looms as the ultimate test of any intelligent species, a gauntlet of self-inflicted challenges like nuclear war, ecological collapse, or the unchecked evolution of artificial intelligence. It whispers that the silence we hear might be the echoes of those who failed this test, a galaxy littered with the ruins of civilizations that burn too brightly, too fast. And then we face the first contact paradox, the chilling possibility that any message we receive would not be a benevolent greeting, but a calculated declaration of dominance from a civilization powerful enough to break the silence without fear. Finally, we grappled with the fundamental human impulse of curiosity, our greatest strength, but perhaps our gravest weakness in a universe that punishes exposure. The dark forest theory compels us to look inward as much as outward. It challenges our anthropocentric assumptions that advanced intelligence equates to benevolence, that communication is always desirable, or that contact would automatically lead to shared understanding and cooperation. Instead, It posits that the universe is indifferent to our hopes, governed by brutal physics and the coldest logic of survival. Our own history on Earth, rife with instances where technologically superior civilizations subjugated or erased less advanced ones, provides a grim precedent for this cosmic paranoia. The dark forest, in this light, is not just a theory about alien behaviour. It is a profound, uncomfortable mirror reflecting humanity's own deepest fears and capabilities. It asks us if, given absolute power and infinite uncertainty, we too would become the silent hunters. So, what does this chilling vision mean for humanity's future? Do we retreat into a forced, fearful silence, extinguishing our technological lights, burying our cities, and ceasing all outbound transmissions? Do we prioritise survival at any cost, embracing a future of isolation and calculated invisibility, becoming just another hidden whisper in the cosmic background? Or do we, despite the warnings, persist in our innate curiosity, continuing to reach out, to explore, to shout our presence into the void, clinging to the desperate hope that some intelligence out there might defy the dark forest's logic? Perhaps our next great leap is not outward, but inward. It may not be the conquest of distant stars, but the mastery of ourselves. If the great filter lies ahead, then the solution is not more advanced weapons or better camouflage, but a profound transformation of our own ethics, our capacity for cooperation, and our ability to balance progress with preservation. Learning to live sustainably, to resolve our conflicts, to master our own creations like artificial intelligence, these may be the true tests that determine whether we join the galactic silence as victims or as its cautious, wise inhabitants. The dark forest theory doesn't just offer a potential solution to the Fermi paradox, it presents a moral dilemma of cosmic proportions. It asks us to confront the possibility that the universe is not designed for companionship, but for solitude, that the ultimate wisdom is not found in seeking out others, but in understanding the profound power of self-restraint, and that the greatest strength may lie not in the ability to project power, but in the humility to remain unseen. Yet, even in this bleak landscape, there remains a defiant, stubborn ember of hope. For all its terrifying logic, the dark forest is still just a theory, a possibility among many, and humanity, for all its flaws, possesses an undeniable drive for connection, a yearning to know that we are not truly alone. To abandon that longing, to silence our curiosity forever, would be to extinguish a part of what makes us human. Perhaps the true challenge is not merely to survive, but to survive as ourselves, retaining our capacity for wonder and connection, even in a universe that seems to punish it. Perhaps the long-term survivors of the cosmos are not the most ruthless, but the most adaptable. The ones who found a way to navigate the dangers, not by becoming predatory, but by becoming something entirely new. A civilization that understands the rules of the forest, yet chooses a path of enlightened caution, a conscious silence born not of terror, but of profound, ancient wisdom. They may not be screaming into the void, but they are listening, discerning, and patiently waiting for a species capable of understanding the unspoken language of cosmic survival. In the end, the question is no longer merely are we alone, but what kind of universe do we choose to inhabit, and what kind of civilization do we choose to become within it? The stars remain silent, vast, and indifferent. But in that silence, we hear the echoes of profound truths about ourselves, our fears, and our aspirations. The dark forest is not just out there. It is a concept that resonates within our very nature, challenging us to decide whether our destiny is to repeat its brutal logic or to forge a new path through the cosmic night. Our choices now, in this moment of fragile youth, will determine whether we eventually add our own voice to the great silence or, against all odds, find a way to thrive within it, not as hunters, but as silent, enduring stewards of our own fragile light. End of hook section.